Good evening. This is the Lion of Legend, and welcome to Bedrot. This game contains swearing, flies, trash, and bed rotting. Would you like to view the spoiler content warnings? No. Let's just assume that anything can happen in this game. Reader discretion is advised. Now, dear reader, let's begin. How long has your life been like this? You haven't a clue. But given your situation, you don't care about that. Rise and shine, Alice Abbott. What time is it? The time really shouldn't matter to you, not when you're just gonna stay inside all day. Whatever. I'm just gonna do what I do best, sit and watch TV. It's gotten so bad that you can't bring yourself to get out of bed. In order to look around, you find yourself having to click on everything in the room. Click on everything in the room, huh? The trash is piled up so much that it almost covers the windows. I would take out the garbage if I didn't have to go outside. You haven't bothered to clean that up. Maybe I should turn my mouse on so my cursor on so y'all can see exactly what I'm clicking on. Alright, here we are. Too much of a hassle when you already live in filth. For reference, I clicked on this cup earlier. You're grateful for this. Grateful that you don't have to go out for food. Otherwise, you would have died long ago. You would have lost your head without this lovely contraption. Want to watch something? Sure. You switch the TV on. Just like every single day. People always tell you to be consistent. And here you are, consistently staying in bed and watching TV. Even though you do this every day, the TV's flickering light still burns your retinas. You switch through the channels. News, sports, questionable stuff, kids shows. You settle on My 30-Day Wedding. Yes, you know that just about everything in that show is staged. But you like it. You like seeing these people be so petty towards each other. Seeing them beat the shit out of each other over silly things like soap reminds you of why you're even here. I know that some might think that I'm missing out on life, but I'm perfectly fine missing out on people. Even if My 30-Day Wedding is staged, you can't help but feel that there's some level of truth to the pettiness. You remember how when you actually attended class, some boy began trying to prank you. And by prank, I don't mean silly things like dialing random numbers. I mean shit like trying to dump acid on you. And it was all because I didn't want to work with him on a project. Maybe I came across too harshly when I rejected him. A massive part of you believes that the world is a shitty place. But the idea that maybe it's your fault is tempting. You sit back and think on it some more. At least if something's your fault, you can fix it. You switch to the news channel. You feel like watching something informative. Good evening, citizens of Libretto City. Evening? You're not surprised, more disappointed in yourself than anything. You used to wake up at the crack of dawn to get shit done. Now, you wake up at the crack of dusk to lay and rot. You bring your attention back to the TV. Thoughts aren't good for you. Today, we bring you a grisly case, a murder. Another one, just like every day. Yes, I know that you see this shit every day, but this one is so bad that we have to show you. You zone out a bit while the reporter talks about the crime scene. About how the victim was found under Cardinal River with half her face burned off and her breast torn. The victim was named Emma Greenwood. Your ears perk up. You remember that she was one of your classmates back when you went to class. And she was also one of the only people to check up on you. You're sure that she was a good person. She sure as hell didn't deserve to die in such a horrific way. Why is the world like this? How is it that you could do everything right and still have something horrible happen to you? You decide to sleep again. And just like every night, you don't dream. On one hand, if you don't dream, you don't remind yourself that the situation does suck. Plus, you don't have nightmares about how a stranger is going to bust in to strangle you. On the other hand, sleep is getting boring without dreams. Sleep just consists of your random thoughts bouncing off of each other. It's too much like when you're awake. Rise and shine. Again. Even though you got well over half a day of sleep, your eyes are still glued shut. Not to mention that the sunlight makes you want to clamp your eyes. You don't enjoy sunlight. You don't even go out to feel its warmth. It's just a nuisance to you. Something that stops you from... You can't think of what it stops you from doing. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Rotting away, that's what. It's in moments like these where you question everything. No, you didn't question it when trash began piling up in your room. Nor did you question it when people showed up at your dorm with bills, letters of expulsion, and all that good shit. Now that sunlight is hitting you, you question it. Part of you wants to go over to the window and cover it up with something. But you also don't want to see the dents you left in the bed from how long you've lied there. It makes everything feel too real. You hide from the sunlight under the wrinkled covers. You don't sleep under there, you lay awake. The sunlight barely penetrates the thin fabric, but it's better than your eyes being fried. There's nothing to distract you from your thoughts under the covers. Nothing but the faint buzzing of flies around the garbage. You try to make out little conversations the flies might be having. Anything to distract you from your mind. After what feels like an eternity, the room is dark again. You prop yourself up. Again. Just another night of nothing. That's what I expect. Just like every single night since you caged yourself in here. The only difference is that now you're realizing how miserable it is. Guess I can click around again. You're just waiting for the day that wall to completely fall apart. Your lovely food-stained bed. It's more of a home to you than this dorm. Looking closer into the crevice between the mattress and the wall, there's something weird. Huh? What's this? You can't discern what it is. Maybe it's a plant of some kind. You don't know what it would be living off of. Maybe off of the food scraps under your bed. Maybe off of the decaying wood. No use in wondering about it, though. No use in wondering about anything now. You lay back down in bed, stomach completely empty. As the days go on and on, you feel like your head's becoming more empty. You can remember how when you were younger, the lives of you and your sister were filled with joy and whimsy. As much as you can get in Liberto City, at least. You know that your sister's off being productive, working in forensics of some kind. Heck, she's probably working on Emma Greenwood's case right as you rot. How would she feel if she saw me like this? Everyone in my family thinks I'm off getting some psychology degree. They all think I'm actually doing something with my life, when I'm just rotting. That's the best word for it. I used to be something, someone. Now I'm just some husk. You remember when Emma came to check up on you? She asked if anything had happened. You tried to pinpoint what happened. You're still trying, to be quite frank. At least if something did happen to you, the state of your life would be justified, right? Maybe it wasn't a single bad thing that happened. Maybe it was a bunch of smaller things piling up. Even though you've spent the better parts of the day sleeping, you're too tired to think. You just want rest. It's been long overdue. When you wake up, the sun is blaring on you and your little plant friend. Why is there so much sunlight out there? Liberto City is usually all dark and gloomy. Why is it all bright now of all times? Sometimes you like to think that it's sunny because you're not out there. Self-aggrandizing? Fuck yeah. Funny? Hell yeah. At least, it's funny in your mind. Seeing the sun out reminds me that everyone's out there doing stuff. At least in the night, people are doing what I do for the most part. Eating, watching TV, and sleeping. But I know that's not true when the sun is shining. You lay back down, again. You truly hate being reminded of what you could be doing, instead of laying in bed all day. You know it's your fault that you're like this. You struggle to sleep through the day, lost in thoughts. I know that some people out there feel the exact way I do. But it manifests so differently for people. Some people just turn to alcohol. Some turn to adrenaline hunting. Some throw themselves into their work and become even more productive. I think that any of those people are more productive than I am. Even the alcoholic and adrenaline junkie. Because at least they're putting themselves out into the world. Why do my feelings manifest in this way? Night falls yet again. Just like every single night. Do you know how insanity is defined? You really should, considering that you barely survived one semester of university. No answer? Shucks. Explains why you stopped attending class. Insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's exactly what you're doing. The thing is that I know nothing's gonna change. No shit, it isn't. I know that every single day is the same. But how different am I compared to other people then? Alright, good point. The way that you view it with regards to insanity, you're the same as most people. People go to university expecting to outshine their peers, even if they're reusing the same study habits from high school. People go to work every single day, doing random stuff for an apathetic boss, expecting that out of all the other employees, they'll be the ones to get rich. It's all the same to you. Except for the fact that society doesn't consider what you do to be productive. You do miss blissful ignorance. You hate being able to see the systems for what they are. You hate how you can't just go along with it like everyone else. Even though it is all the same, the difference is that those people are happy, while I'm not. Aw, don't be such a Debbie Downer. Maybe you should watch some TV to return to your usual state of apathy. You're surprised that no one's shown up at your door complaining about this. You can barely smell the rotting trash from here. mostly because it blends in with the rest of the odors. You haven't bothered to clean that up. Too much of a hassle when you already live in filth. You can't tell if there's leftover rice in the container, or if it's just a bunch of maggots. Strange, it's off. Your very food-stained bed. Laying here for so long has left a massive indentation in the bed. You feel almost embarrassed by it, but you know that no one comes here anyway. This plant looks different from yesterday. Yeah, it looks longer. It smells different too. It looks like the TV's off. You don't remember turning it off. Guess that they finally cut the power explains why the lamp's off. This day was coming. And now your one source of entertainment is gone. All that can keep me occupied now are my thoughts. Or sleep. What does it matter that the power's gone? Most of my time is spent sleeping and thinking anyways. White noise rings in your mind. Your stomach grumbles with hollowness. And your eyes just don't want to stay open. Regardless of if you sleep for 3 or 18 hours, your eyes want to stay clamped shut in eternal slumber. Your eyes give in, and darkness is all you see. Your other senses are heightened, but even they feel dull. You know that it smells slightly worse in here than usual. You're used to the stench of mold and rotting wood. But you're beginning to pick up the odor of decaying meat. The flies are going to love that. You wake up from another dreamless night. That's good. Nothing to remind you of what you could be missing out on. And it's night? You either slept for only a few hours, or for an entire day. I'm probably going to fall right back to sleep any minute. You're starting to wish that you'd stay asleep forever. Is this plant getting longer? You wonder what this plant is feeding off of to grow so quickly. You feel tethered to the bed by now. You've been here for so long. Why bother leaving? It's close to blocking off the exit. It's not like it matters. I was never going to leave in the first place. Quite the thought of despair here. But it's true. There's nothing out there for you. You're sure that no one in your family cares. You're sure that even if you finally did go out, you'd be miserable. Hell, the one person you remember being kind to you wound up dead. What does that mean? Does it mean that you have to resort to assholery if you want to live? The worst part of it all is that even after thinking about it, you don't know the roots of your issues. Maybe it was a bunch of small things, snowballing up to something massive. But you can't even figure out the smaller things. You fall back asleep for a long, long time. And again, it's dreamless. You've come to realize that maybe you don't dream because your mind itself is a prison. It smells like blood and guts are spread around the room. The scent of rot overpowers you. The exit's blocked. You're too late. The vines rot. Guts? The substance stays wrapped around you. You don't try to fight it. You want to scream, but you're too tired. The strange tentacles poke through you, stitching you straight to the bed. You never intended to leave in the first place. Not for a long time, at least. But now that you're truly chained to the bed, you expect to regret it all. You don't. You had no dreams to live for. So your nightmares became your reality. And Bedrot. Wait, does this game have only one ending? Okay, so it does have only one ending. I was a little bit lost because it said end Bedrot. Usually when I see a screen like that, it implies there might be a second ending, and I could have sworn there was only one ending, and I had to double check, make sure I'm not crazy, and yeah, according to the dev page, there is only one ending to Bedrot. That was good. It was definitely depressing, considering the, depression theme here. I can only assume that this individual definitely died in that bed. At least, it's kind of what it came off as. I do like the concept of having to, actually click around things and check out the environment when playing visual novels as well. It feels a bit more engaging, so I do enjoy when those opportunities come up. So this was definitely one that also was up my alley, if you will. I did enjoy reading it, and I did enjoy experiencing it. Though I wonder what the plant represented. I guess the plant was more just maybe like a countdown to when the character was finally going to pass. And maybe that was more metaphorical rather than the plant actually existing in the character's room, if you will. Well, if you did enjoy this video, go ahead and leave it a like, leave a comment, share the video, perhaps even subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in the next video. So have a good night.